Before he left, Edward told Espiritu Santo that he could return from the Bahamas at a moment's notice. According to German documents of the time, they even arranged a code word by which he could be recalled.
I think Edward thought that Britain was going to lose the war. And I think in that case that he wanted to be in an advantageous position should there be any question of him returning to England. So he wanted to be there and he wanted to be in touch.
On August the 1st, 1940, the Duke and Duchess left Lisbon for the Bahamas on the steamship Excalibur. On the same day that they set sail, Hitler gave the order for the mass bombing of Britain. Edward was about to discover that the British government would not be forced to the negotiating table by such naked aggression, nor would the severe bombing of London persuade his brother, King George VI, to abdicate.
Their Majesties have continued to tour the districts that have suffered most damage in recent raids, and the knowledge that their King and Queen are among them, they were actually caught in a raid and had to take shelter during this particular visit, has greatly heartened the people. Their Majesties were tremendously impressed by their steady courage.
Camouflaged steamer drops anchor in the harbor, where hundreds of islanders gather to welcome the Duke and Duchess of Windsor.
While the Battle of Britain raged in the summer of 1940, Edward left Lisbon to take up his position as governor of the Bahamas. The Duke and Duchess arrived in the capital, Nassau, to a welcome fit for an ex-king. On the surface, everything was fine, but behind the show of public duty, Edward knew that the British government and his brother, King George VI, had clipped his wings. He had been sent into political exile again. He didn't even pretend to hide his disappointment at his first press conference.
While Great Britain has employed me in this role in the past, I very much doubt that the British government has it in mind at the present that my official activities should extend beyond the confines of the Bahama Islands.
Wallis was equally unhappy. She derided her new posting. Writing to her Aunt Bessie, she said,
I really do wish we could move somewhere inhabited, at least by our own class. These awful people day in and day out. Nassau is a moron paradise.
But Churchill could not have anticipated that even at this far remove, there would be dangerous Nazi sympathizers who could influence the Windsors. The Bahamas were home to their old friend, Axel Wenner-Gren, the international arms dealer and supporter of the Third Reich. The Swedish millionaire was eagerly awaiting the couple's arrival. He had received a secret cable about them from German intelligence.
You will soon find there a new and interesting family with whom I assume you will at once become friendly. That family have a sympathetic understanding for totalitarian ideas. they should be of great significance for forthcoming development of events.
One of the wealthiest men in the world, VIII had played a key role in planning Edward's initiative for appeasement and tour of Germany in 1937. VIII now set about using the Duke again. He invited the couple on a cruise to Miami on his yacht, the Southern Cross. Still the most famous couple in the world, thousands of Americans lined the streets to welcome them. As the newsreels recorded the public adulation, Winston Churchill was horrified by Edward's intimacy with VIII.
This gentleman is, according to reports I have received, regarded as a pro-German international financier with strong leanings towards appeasement and suspected of being in communication with the enemy.
Again, Edward ignored Churchill's warnings and continued to involve himself in improbable schemes for peace with Hitler. On his return to Nassau, Edward offered a well-known American newspaper journalist, Fulton Oursler, an exclusive interview. Oursler was a personal friend of the American president, Franklin Roosevelt. His papers are held here at the University of Georgetown in Washington. Although Fulton Oursler died in 1952, his son agreed to reveal to us the contents of his father's diaries for the first time.
These papers held, I think, one of the great secrets of World War II before our entry into the war. And it was a secret that somewhat terrified my father at the time. In the notes, he declares that he fears for his life.
On December the 19th, 1940, Fulton Oursler was summoned to see the Duke here at Government House in Nassau. Addressing themselves to the issue of whether America should get involved in the war, Oursler was astounded by the Duke's position.
There was some talk in America that there might be revolution in Germany. And I'll quote again about the Duke's reaction to that. He said there was too much wishful thinking and that there would be no revolution in Germany. And it would be a tragic thing for the world if Hitler were overthrown. Hitler, he said, was the right and logical leader of the German people. He said it was unfortunate that I had never met Hitler, and he regarded Hitler as a great man.
What was your father's reaction at this point?
Well, he wrote very specifically. He said, quote, "I was beginning to feel dazed. For the first time in my life, it was literally true that I did not believe my ears."
The Duke did more than just praise Hitler. He was again attempting to influence the tide of political events, and specifically stop America's armed intervention in the war on the side of the Allies. It became clear to Oursler why he had been granted this exclusive interview.
There was a silence. Suddenly, Windsor leaned forward, shooting his head out like a turtle, and bent almost double in his chair. And he looked around at me and he said, "Do you suppose that your president would consider intervening as a mediator when, as, and if the proper time arrives? Tell Mr. Roosevelt that if he will make an offer of intervention for peace, that before anyone in England can oppose it, the Duke of Windsor will instantly issue a statement supporting it, and that will start a revolution in England and force peace."